Welcome back to Where Potters Walk. That didn't take long, did it? Normal service resumed at Stoke City. We're back to be disgruntled again. Welcome to Where Potters Walk. Let's jump straight into it. Welcome back, Alfie and Ollie, fresh back from Vicarage Road. Alfie, walk us through that second half. What on earth was said at half time?
Well, your first word there is just described what we were doing in the second half, walking. It was so easy. I mean, I stopped watching. I didn't go, but I stopped watching. There was just no, I don't know. There was just no fighting, and weren't winning second balls. Nothing going forward. We had a 1-on-1, but just everything went wrong. Really, I'm hoping it was just a one-off, but that was worrying.
Yeah, worrying is actually the word that you see a lot on reports. This was like Stoke of yesteryear, Ollie. You know, that easy to play through, powder puff defence, no strong in the tackle. What happened?
Yeah, well, I echo what Alfie said. It was just, it was a shambles, really, second half. And I was the same again. I stopped watching after about 60 minutes because, it was just, it wasn't great. And compared to the first half as well, which was really fine and solid, I don't know what happened. It just fell apart.
I want to show you some opinions, if that's all right, on the game. The first one, obviously, lots of them crying out for a striker. And before we get having a look at them, is it even more clear as day, Alfie, for you that without a shadow of a doubt, before this window closes, Stoke need to sign a bullying, harassing defender striker?
Yeah. It's we tried to play for some reason the long ball in that game, and we're locking it up to an 18-year-old Emre Tezgal, who's a tall lad, but he's not big. He's losing headers. Of course, he's going to lose headers against them big centre halves. But then when he gets the ball, there's no one around him, so we can't hold him off. But if we have a big striker, we can win those headers, knock him on to the quick wingers that we've got, or if he's at his feet, he can hold it up. We just need Wesley, but better, basically. I'd say a bit quicker.
All right. Have a look at this. And so the first one says, Mr. Coates, I'd like to buy a striker, please. He's the guy who sits at the top of the pitch and puts the ball in the back of the net. This period we've struggled with for 5 years. A right back wouldn't go amiss either. Ollie, I'll ask you about this one here. Cash in on Berger. Yeah. Get Lowell in the 6 and play Moran in Berger's spot and buy a mobile striker. Get fit. Disagree with anything there?
Well, maybe the language used a little bit. Obviously, Jono getting fit's something that's out of their hands. I mean, it's dead unfortunate that he did, but he's back now, so that should be okay. In terms of Berger, I think it's one of them. I think towards the end of last season, everyone could kind of see that he was dropping off form a little bit. He was in and out of the team, and it's kind of continued a little bit into this season. But I do think that maybe is to do with the position he's playing, which I think is what they're kind of alluding to there. Is he's playing a bit more advanced, which I don't think he wants to play there. And
does he look unhappy to you when you both watch him? There's lots of people saying he looks like he doesn't want to certainly doesn't want to play for this manager. That's the impression he's giving.
Yeah, it's tough to know, isn't it? But he doesn't look. He doesn't look happy. No, he doesn't look like he did in the first half of last season for definite. So something obviously needs to change, and I think it is just a positional thing. Just push him back and play him in a holding role.
And Alfie, just on the last point there about Gooch not being a winger, how much do you subscribe to that view?
Oh, he's not. No, I completely agree with that. He's really poor out wide. And you can't fault him for it, but he isn't a winger. He's not a left winger. Maybe on the right to do a job. He did a few times for Sunderland, but as a left winger, he's a man who crosses the ball, so he's having to cut back to cross it in. He can't shoot. I don't think he should play left wing ever again. To be honest.
There's not been any criticism of the manager here because obviously, I think everyone's rightly behind him. But when people pay a lot of money, as they will have done, to travel to Watford and watch that game, and I know the coaches are free and everything, but it's still time away. Fans aren't going to put up, Ollie, with too many more away performances like that, are they? Before we start to hear some murmurings.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think, to be fair, it is something we've kind of come to terms with, is that we are maybe under Schumacher going to be, getting thrashed maybe a few times a season, just as is the nature of the way his team's set up, and it is very kind of like narrow defensively, and I think that's set up to Watford's advantage really, because they use the wings really well in the second half, and so it's not great, but I think as soon as they maybe get a few more signings in, then it should hopefully stop. Let's hope.
Okay. All right. We're reviewing all the positions then. As we know, last week we did goalkeepers. Before we look at central defenders, there was a bit of criticism for your goalie, Alfie, from many fans. He didn't cover himself in glory for some of the goals.
No.
Where do you stand on that?
No, he didn't have his best game, but some fans are going a bit overboard, saying that he's not very good, full stop. He is. He was fantastic against Coventry. He didn't have much to do in terms of saving, but crosses, he was perfect and everything like that. I just think, obviously, keepers are going to have a couple bad games a season. But he did make some decent stops, to be fair, against Watford. But the first and second, I think it was. The first, he powered it back up into the air, and the third was... that was poor, near post from 18 yards. You can't concede from there.
All right. Let's have a look then at where we stand on centre backs. Alfie, do you expect there to be any signings in this particular area, or are you all done, do you think?
I'd like there to be, but I don't think so. I think Wilmot and Rose will be battling it out. I prefer Rose myself. I did last season. I still do. Gibson will stay. I like Gibson, but I don't like Wilmot, to be honest. He's just too much of a liability for me as a centre half.
Ollie, what's your best pairing? Do you think that we'll see more of?
Yeah, it's a tough one really, because I think it is, as Alfie said, between Wilmot and Rose. They're both not great really. I think Wilmot's not been great since he had 2 back-to-back injuries last year, and they really kind of hampered him. And I think we definitely do need a signing there. I think Lowell, who was on that graphics, going to play in midfield. So ideally, yeah. But as I say, as we've said, I don't think they will bring anyone in at centre back now.
Okay. Where do we need to go shopping then, Alfie? Other than a striker, do we need a right back as well in the next 2 weeks? Is that overplayed?
Yeah, I think Chimedu needs a bit of help on the right. If he's dipping in form, he's a young lad. That's bound to happen. He needs someone there to help him out. Gooch, maybe, but I don't think he's great defensively himself. So I think we do need another right back. And yeah, I think just a right back really, and a striker, of course. But centre back, I don't expect us to go in for one.
Okay. How's Lewis Kumas looked? I know he's only signed in last week or so, but did he get on against Carlisle? Did he look all right, Ollie? Or?
Yeah, he did. He looked sharp. He had a chance against Carlisle. I think it was a good save by the keeper. And then, again, he had a chance against Watford. He came on. He looked sharp again. He's probably one of my better players in the second half. So I think there's definitely something with him this season. He's not going to be someone to rely on every week just because of his age and his lack of experience. But off the bench for sure, he's going to be an asset this season.
Okay. And finally, then, Alfie, you got Moran from Brighton for the season as well. You rate this guy?
I've not. He was at Blackburn, wasn't he? I think on loan. Right. I've not seen much of him, to be fair, but he's quite well rated by Brighton fans from what I've seen. A few Blackburn fans slating him, saying he's a bit lazy, but I think that was just that Blackburn team. To be fair, it was a dull place to be that second half of the season. So yeah, I'm not going to diss him until he deserves to be dissed.
Okay, all right. Fair enough then. Let's get some added time, and we've got 60 seconds of questions. And of course, it's all about the Premier League because that returned this week. All right, Alfie, you can kick us off. Who's going to win the Premier League?
Man City.
Snooze. Ollie, who's going down?
Leicester, definitely for me.
Okay, Alfie, any more names to add to that? Who would you like to see go down?
I'd love Ipswich to come back down. To be honest, way too up in the clouds for me last season.
Okay, VAR obviously in the Premier League. Ollie, would you prefer to see it in the Championship as well, or do you actually enjoy watching goals and knowing the goals?
Yeah, I think there's definitely like a beauty to not having it in the Championship, isn't there? But I think in terms of just the referees needing help, they definitely probably do need some more help in this league and in the EFL because they're not great. But yeah, I'd probably prefer just to leave it, to be honest. It's more hassle than it's worth.
And finally, Alfie, if Stoke were promoted this season, which two of the teams would you like to see go up with you?
Oxford. I don't know why. I quite like the stadium. It's different.
Unique.
Yeah, and Portsmouth, I think, bring that old Barclays Premier League back. I quite like that.
Fair enough. Right, you two, thank you very much. You've got West Brom at home this week. Used to be an old saying, you used to always beat West Brom. How do you see this one going, Ollie?
Yeah, I'd love to beat them again. It's always a bit of a tense game against the Baggies, but I think it might be tough. We've just got to try and find something. Hopefully, get a few players back in, Junho back in the starting 11, and just go from there. Really, I'd take a draw if you offered me one right now.
Alfie, would you take a 0-0?
I'd like us to win because I think our home form is going to be important. Because Schumacher away from home, as Plymouth fans said, we are going to get smashed a couple times, like I said earlier. But yeah, I'd probably take a draw. Yeah.
Fair enough. If you're a Stoke fan and haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. This is across the Terrace Talk network, and these two and Liam and others will be here all season, reviewing all the Stoke games, the ups, the downs, the highs and the lows of the 44 games that we've got remaining. Thank you two. Enjoy the trip back to the Bet365. We'll catch up with you. Catch for you next week, because next week we have got a Plymouth fan on who's not happy with Stoke because, of course, you nicked their manager. We're into the Stephen Schumacher derby next week, so join us for that one. Cheers, Alfie. Cheers, Ollie. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.